And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in the galaxy. It's I, John D, and Kanika, a.k.a. Doing Too Much. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I have a question.
I probably have an answer.
That's awesome. What are you proud of personally that you've done? Like, what is one of your things you like? I'm proud of that. Outside of the kids.
Dadgummit. I was about to go on a rant, y'all. What's the thing I'm proud of?
And why are you thinking about that? I want you to know why I said that outside of the kids, because I feel like you're so selfless that you put everybody in front of you and you'll do everything, just to make it, just for it to be functionable, regardless of whatever you've got to go through. And I just wonder if there's anything that you've completed that makes you feel like that was for me.
I used to say stuff like my degrees, but they really don't mean much of anything to me. I'm gonna be real.
When did you come to that decision? Because you say you used to say it.
I did. I used to say it just because I felt like that's the general, what accomplishments have you had? I got these letters. But they don't really mean much of anything to me anymore. And I don't really know when that stopped. I think that it just got to a point where I realized that there's so much more that I should be and could be doing, that I should be working to be proud of or accomplishing, that had nothing to do with books or paying tuition. And just like in this moment, I can't name anything. And if the most pride I can find in what I've done is complete classes, it's like want. And then the thing about the kids, like, the kids have been so much of my life. Like, their accomplishments and not exactly their accomplishments, but who they are, to me, is a jewel in my crown, because I be focusing hard on these kids. And when they come out better than I have ever been, I'm very proud of that, because on one end, I'm looking like whatever I'm doing, I'm trying my best to rear them, and whatever may be harmful to them is going right over their head, but they're getting everything valuable because they're really, really great people. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to me standing alone, I don't think there's anything that I've really accomplished that I can say that if this is the only thing I've accomplished, I say I've done a really great thing. I don't have anything. And I don't feel bad about it. I feel like that just must mean that something else is coming, because there are different stages of your life. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So when I was in my 20s, my accomplishment was my degrees. When I was in my 30s, it was about becoming a mother, becoming a nurse. Coming into my 40s, finally settling down and purchasing a home that I know I'm not going to walk away from. Like, I'm not going to be a nomad anymore. I'm really proud of that. Giving my kids somewhere where they're happy to live. And literally, like, when I was younger, y'all seen Boomerang when Lila Rashawn is walking down the street with her 2 dogs and they're matching. I have 2 matching dogs. Like, those are things that bring joy to me. And I guess what I'm looking for, my accomplishment, is when I look over my life, seeing that I molded it into what I had always seen myself having. I want the full family. I want the animals. I want to be able to have, families come to our house to have brunch, or, sitting out and having tea on the front patio with the sun shining. These are the things that I'm looking for when I'm able to look at my life and say, this plays out every day the way with ease. The way that I see myself, my life is not stressful in my head when I'm not even when I'm old, but when I've accomplished what I want, I can move with ease through my day, and I can see myself getting there. So I'm proud of myself for persevering so far and getting to that point, even with some really, really rough speed bumps along the way. I'm still here and I'm still on my path, and nothing has knocked me off. I definitely have had detours, but I'm really proud of myself that when I look at my life, and it's funny, when I graduated high school, they give you those little memory books, and I wrote in the back of my book exactly how I saw my life going. And there's so much of it that actually took place. There are parts of it that I see myself doing now I thought I would do in my 20s, but now I'm doing it now. It's not that it's not denied. It was just delayed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm proud of myself that, number one, I'm not in a grave somewhere. I made safe decisions to keep my family safe. My kids are good. I am always constantly healing. You know what? Let me take that back. To date, with all of that being said, I think what I'm most proud of is healing and forgiving my dad, because there was so much of what he did that has impacted me and my brothers. We went through a lot. I felt a lot of different ways about him and what he did to impact my mom's life, all of our lives, and really coming to the point where I could see all of what took place, see all the different ways it impacted me, acknowledge them, heal from them, and be able to look at him and see him as a human being. It really, really built a different part of me. I think it really made me think about how I'm impacting everybody around me. All the things that I know he wished he could do and wanted to do, but he never achieved it, and I keep pushing forward. I think all of that. But the heartache I felt over him for years, to not feel it anymore. And when I look back at him, I don't feel tears coming. I think that is, to date, what I'm most proud about, because that was in the making 43 years ago. Like, my dad has been dropping the dad ball ever since I was born. And then it's not on purpose, but I've definitely been impacted all my life by his decisions and how I was raised because of them. And I can look at myself and say, looking in the mirror, like, Kanika, you be doing it now. Like, I'm proud of you, girl. Like, regardless of the fact of what has gone on, look at the home you live in. Look at your matching dogs. Look at your great kids that have gotten to high school and they have a clear view of where they want to go, and they're optimistic and they're wonderful. Look, and you chose a man that you thought was different than your dad, but much like your dad. But even in now, like, he's so different. Like, you still made it out. You said you weren't going to have a certain life. And even when you made decisions that almost looked like you were going to, look at where you are. But I think part of that, it started with him, because I had to forgive a lot of my own behaviors and understand why I had them. It changed the way I relate to my brothers, or how I see my mom, how I look at my marriage, how I look at how I deal with my kids, how I see the world. All of that has changed a lot. And it all took place at his death. That was 2017. In the last 6 years, I would say that I've definitely, I see a whole different person. Other people may not see it, because I'll still laugh with you. I still have the same personality. I still interact with people the same way. But inside, I am completely redone. And it's funny because I guess I've never acknowledged the significance of that. But I can see how it impacts how I talk to the kids and how I look at you and how I look. My sister-in-law just graduated with a master's in nursing. Shout out. And nursing is one of the hardest programs for the last 20, 30 years. It's one of the hardest programs to ever finish. She did an accelerated nursing program, but her trade prior to that was running universities. Like, she completely turned. And my brother let her do it full time without working. And he pushed and did everything possible to support her and to be everything that she needed. And like, when I talk to him, I tell him how proud I am of him, who let him know who he is and how it's like, one of our big things is not being our dad. Being able to see him and appreciate how wonderful he is. Looking at my younger brother, like, I see with different eyes now. I see everything with different eyes now, with so much appreciation. And that all, the catalyst was his death. And when I look at myself now, I think I have a different appreciation for what is being built day to day with you and I. I know that was weird, but
why do you think it was weird?
I don't know, because I feel like when you talk about what you're most proud of and your accomplishments, it's not supposed to be, well, maybe it is, I guess, healing. That makes me think of, somebody was saying, how everybody's always talking about millennials and Gen X and blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. And so somebody was like, Gen X, our biggest mistake was, like, we can't talk about these new kids. We can't talk about these new generations being soft because we did it. But we did it out of love because we had such a hard time. And we really, really, we were really out here sometimes raising ourselves. And when we got some kids, we said we are not going to have our kids grow up like us. And we went the complete opposite side of the continuum, trying to cover everything so that they didn't have to experience what we did. And then we look at them, we're like, they soft.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with them being soft. I think that that's another thing with Black women. Everybody was like, I'm independent, I'm strong, I'm a strong Black woman. And then we realized, why we got to be running around here being strong. And you see this big push with Black women about living a life of softness and ease. There's nothing wrong with us raising children who are compassionate and they move slowly through the world and they own up and say, I don't deserve this, I don't have to deal with that.
As long as they're not endangering anybody,
yes,
compromising their environment, what is wrong with y'all?
Yes, and be like, you mad at your kid because they don't know how to fight. Why do we want them to even like that? It should be an accomplishment for us that we've raised children and they've gotten to a point where they really don't have to fight and they don't see a reason to. Yeah. I think that
in order to be good at fighting, you have to fight.
You do. And I think that's one thing that I tied to that idea is that our generation really we've always been a bridge generation. We were the bridge with the internet and with the record players, with the CD players, the cassettes and all the other stuff. We bridged a lot of things. But another thing I think we bridged was accepting trauma and living your life that way. And then living a life where you don't accept nobody's bull. So it's like our parents were traumatized growing up, even if they didn't know it. And they lived through it and they say, you just do what you got to do and you just move on. And then we grew up with those parents and we started out that way. And then we're like, no, we don't want to do that. And so we work on our healing. And then we're trying to make sure our kids grow up and that they don't have to be healed. Like for the most that we can ever do, try not to ever add negativity to their life. And I think that that's so beautiful, to the point where you see your kids and the kids are like, I don't have to deal with that disrespect. I don't, they walk away. They don't feel like they got to accept family who's disrespectful. They don't have to accept anybody who makes them step outside of who they are. I think it's a great accomplishment that we bridged there too. We came up with traumatized parents, but we're working hard to have kids that don't even, they can't even fathom that life. That's the accomplishment that I'm most proud of right now, because it trickles down to everybody else. How I see my husband, how I see my kids, how I see the world around me.
It's dope. I can't lie. I was listening to you and I'm like, I guess it's more so like that's the reason why the happiness thing, to me, you never heal to be happy. Like, I looked at what you were saying, like when you started saying it trickles down. If you can heal, everybody else benefits. Mm-hmm. So when I used to be like, you're not happy, and you're like, you can't tell me. It was, I couldn't articulate it for you to be like, oh, you just did it for me. Because you're able to heal now. You don't have to be, you don't have to hold other things on your back that was holding you down, because you understand why maybe some of those things happen. So if you can heal, you be like, dang, I was holding this and that wasn't mine anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when you can do that, just listening to you, I feel like I got happier by listening. Like it was like almost like the veil was removed. Like, wow, because listening to you, you went from, degrees to all the way something that has impacted your family, like on a day-to-day basis. So that's a great accomplishment, because who doesn't want to be able to recognize that something has changed them for the betterment of the people around them?
Well, when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking to myself, you've always talked to me about happiness, and in my head, I'm like, it's not important. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. You know what's deep to me, and we may be speaking of the same thing, but just using different words. Peace. I've been chasing peace. And when I get a bit of it, it makes me just run even harder. And I think that when you talk about happiness, in my head, I see it as peace.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't have no worries. I can smile. I can be relaxed. I am happy in that. That's what I want.
For sure.
But what about you? What about your greatest accomplishment?
I don't know greatest, because I have so many, to be honest, that I'm proud of, because I didn't even think that I could feel the way that I do about certain things that I haven't even shared with you about how I view things now. But I love, this is because it just happened today. I remember, if some energy changes really quick, I'm mad on the inside. And I'm like, why am I mad? Because just the thing when you were saying, I'll just walk the dogs. And I felt like I recovered all in that, like, so that we could go walk the dogs together. Like, I remember being furious before. Like, it made me think about all the other times I'm like, well, why am I overreacting? And to me, I felt like just that feeling made me feel like you and I are going to probably not have any more blow-ups. It's going to be like that, the way that felt. And I think the turnaround, at least for me, I can't say what's going to for you. But for me, I'm going to try my best for you to feel like, my husband is really trying to make this work. I don't know why he's sounding like that, but apparently he doesn't know that's bothering me. So I need to let him know, hey, the way that you're talking to me is making me feel, and I'm like, and then I just click, oh, I'm sorry. I meant it like this. So it didn't look like that earlier, but it made me feel like I'm a lot closer than when I used to feel that feeling, like just like I'll be mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, then you can go walk them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now like I can tell you I felt that way too. We've done that like in the last 2 or 3 months or whatnot. And I'll just go downstairs and I'm like thinking like, oh, what could I have done differently? Why am I in this position? Why do I make her feel this way? And now look where we are. At some point, I'm like, oh, wait. Oh, like, so to me, like what I just experienced today to feel like what I started from. That's just why I say how effective communication, like how important it is if you do it effectively, because I could have lost some precious minutes. I wasn't going to be able to walk with my wife, you know, and our dogs. Our matching dogs.
I want y'all to know how goofy we are about these dogs. We be joking. I mean, you know, they are matching dogs though. They are cute, but it's really not that deep. But the walks are better. It's not about the dogs. It's really about the walk and the time. But yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, so that's why I enjoy. That's my biggest accomplishment that I can say that, because I feel like the better I get in that, the more you and I are going to learn to grow in the way that we're looking for. Like the connection part that I was telling you about. I'm trying to create this feeling that no woman has ever experienced, because I've never heard of a man whose intentions were to make this woman feel this way, like for the rest of his life. And you know how intentional that I am is that I feel like at some point, like you're gonna see the work and your life is gonna change, because you're gonna be like, I really can't, because I feel like I said earlier, you're so selfless that you haven't been able to just come into your own and figure out what you were supposed to do, because none of that's important if everybody else is on fire. You know what I'm saying? So now I feel like the fires are getting put out. You're trusting me as your partner a lot more, where you can like maybe possibly focus on yourself, and then you could be like, oh, that's the reason why I couldn't see this, because I've been doing all these other things. And now like your peace, when you find your peace, you'll have more time to find what you want. And that was my job, probably, to like learn how to be a man that could compliment his wife in a way where she could find her walk, your journey, whatever it looks like, your purpose. You know, because I remember he's like, you know, I don't have it. I don't need one of those. You don't have or need one of those because everything else is so much more important than your own purpose. And if you feel like that, it's going to take me to grow in a way for you to feel confident enough to be like, okay, I can focus on this. How does that sound?
It sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I'm so excited about like just getting better. Don't you see, like, that is what you just said, by you healing. That's the way I feel. Like, I'm like, if I keep working on myself, my family is going to feel the benefits of a father who wants their day to be even that much better. Like, that's fun to me, because you look back and be like, I remember when I wasn't happy, like often. And then I remember when it was just a memory. You know what I'm saying? Because you started to like really enjoy the company that I'm giving you. Like, you know, so to me, that's the way I've been. I'm like, I could really be around you all day. Like, I don't need a break.
This man used to say he could never see himself being around me all day.
We do understand how I feel about never too.
Hey,
I did say that.
He did not.
No, I said never.
Yeah,
then
he said never, and it was like we had friends that worked together at the same school, and he said I wouldn't ever be at the same job with you and ride to and from work and be at home. No.
But you know, I have reasonings. Like, my father told me he went to work to find peace. I didn't want my wife to take my peace away. So I was
Ain't
like,
that interesting? your wife take your peace away.
Well, I feel like
Not
if
protect your
I feel like
peace.
if we see each other that much,
Yeah.
that like I was like, dang, we took my father's peace away. Like, so in my mind, I'm like, the longer I'm around somebody, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna stay away as much as possible without like being a problem. And I don't want you to like that. Last thing I want is to be unhappy in my marriage.
Yeah.
So to me, I felt like that's what I had to do. So, but I didn't know that I could really enjoy the company like I do now. Like last, like I guess I didn't enjoy the company like I do now, but I always enjoyed your company. I just didn't know that I could be around you that much then. But now it's like, I feel like, I remember you didn't even want to talk, like, because you know how I talk. I'm always trying to think about something. You don't even complain about that anymore.
No.
Like, you just participate and you give great ideas. Look, now her eyes are rolling like.
No, I do remember when he used to want to talk all the time, and I was like, oh my God, just stop. Stop talking to me.
Like, for
I
real.
wish I could go somewhere else. Look, he was taking my peace at home. I was like, this man was worried about us bothering his little peace.
I was trying to learn my wife. So the more conversations I can have, the more I can see what bothers her, what I need to stay away from. But if we don't talk, we don't communicate, there's no way I can learn how to not bother her on purpose. So it's like, it's trial and error. So it was like I was just moving fast. I look back at it and I was like, that's what I was trying to do. I was like, I got to learn you so that I don't, like when I can see like certain things, I got to like, okay, I know this bothers her. If I'm going to mention this, I got to say this in a way where she receives the message, not like I'm trying to fight. So there's certain things that I know if I walk toward, I was like, how can I say this for her to be like, oh, without you being like, there, here we go. Because I know the head shake, the eyes closed, and here we go. Like, I know, but that's what I'm saying. How often do we do that now, though?
Yeah, we don't do that as often.
So my point is, I had to learn my wife, and I felt like that's why another thing I could say I'm proud of, because like I wanted that. I don't want to ever bother you. Like, and I was like, I need to convince her. So I was like, if you're not going to take that, like take me seriously doing that, I am going to make sure that I'm gonna work on it. So yeah.
Good job.
Thank you. Anybody you want to give a shout out before we get out of here?
Yeah. Give a shout out to my sister. She graduated with her master's and got she was officially licensed as an RN on June 6th. And that text, the picture of her registered number went through the family text, and immediately all the congratulations came. I'm really, really proud of her. So I want to shout her out, Crystal.
Congratulations.
Yes, my sister.
I want to give a shout out to the kids. They completed their last day of school on Friday, and it was a half day, and we have 2 high schoolers. They are some really good kids, and I say that just like any other parent would say it, and I mean it just like any other parent would mean it. I feel the same way. So anybody who may be like taking anything we say when we talk about our kids the wrong way, is that we're just proud of them like you are of yours, and this makes us happy to talk about them. But they had some really good school year. They had a really good school year as far as developing different things that they liked, and got more information about who they're becoming and their interests. And I felt like it was a really productive year.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking forward to every single day of the days we have until they leave, because they will be gone at some point. And I'm really happy to be actively in their life on almost like a block period. It's in a daily period, but day-to-day basis. But I'm talking about throughout the day, we're interacting with them. You know, it's not like they just disappear now. You know, like kids will disappear and you don't see them until they come out. But I feel like we interact with them, and we're trying to be in the now and appreciate each moment, because when they're gone, they're gone. They're not going to be kids anymore. So shout out to them for making it fun to become a better parent.
And I encourage all parents, or anybody who has a significant child in their life. You never realize that last time that you're going to hold them or pick them up or hear them call you mommy or daddy or say something, in that little voice. Like, really appreciate every moment, because we only got a limited number of years before they leave, and I'm like grabbing at every moment because so much of it got lost. So I'm with you, John. Shout out to the kids.
Y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA, get after that action, or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose. Boom.